Part 102. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 1018. The aura within thousands of miles of the ancient broken jade area is amazing. Even the air seems to be extremely humid. All plants are extremely bright, green like jadeite, red like Cabernet Sauvignon. What landform is this? Suddenly, Wei Suo's eyes flashed a terrifying look. He communicated the earth with the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth, and within 2,000 or 3,000 miles of this broken jade ancient area, it was suddenly interrupted. He perceives that the earth veins under the broken jade ancient domain seem to have been completely disrupted by some terrifying force before ancient times, and even give people a lot of earth veins that have completely disappeared and were transformed by some kind of earth-shattering power. It became a solidified mark, just like a totem, just used to record the power of the sky that had happened somewhere. What kind of power makes even the heaven and the earth no longer exist as supreme beings, and has become a kind of painting paper that records some traces against the sky? This is the power of the sky that truly transcends heaven and earth. If it is the power of the monks' avenues, that power has completely exceeded the world they are in. Wei Suo made another deep breath. At this moment the distance was close. He saw that in the huge aura of 5 or 6 giant umbrellas in the broken jade ancient domain, a wave of aura rolled, and even swayed the milky white aura, and the milky white aura was actually hidden. Give birth to the ghost image of an abnormal whirling white spirit tree with thousands of branches hanging down. This is indeed a real ancient battlefield in ancient times. There must have been a terrifying battle in the era of Ling Longtian. The rule of vitality under the broken jade ancient domain has been completely disrupted. His magical power is unpredictable, but past there is a faint perception of the ancient scriptures of Mother Earth. Below this broken jade ancient domain, there is an amazing gas machine surging. It seems that there is indeed an extremely suitable place in the ground vein that makes him hard to speculate here. The astonishing ground of the metaphysical aura and spirit veins is as if the dragon has been dormant in the ground for unknown thousands of years. The imprint of the truly transcendent power of the heavens and earth, the aura of the aura, was created by the phantom of the white spirit tree, a breathtaking earth-shattering ground. All of this caused Wei Suo to fall into a complete mental agitation until after a few breaths, Wei Suo's mind calmed down slightly. The hilltop occupied by Yuhang continental monks was almost thousands of miles away from the ancient broken jade area. The huge green aura mask obscured the scene, and the valley where the aura of flashing light was located on both sides. It's about 500 miles. In the valley, many monks stayed densely, many of which breathed majestically into the sky, making the cloud above the valley constantly changing, and even produced peculiar magnificent colors and aurora. Scattered, from time to time there are monks driving in auspicious clouds, flying in treasure, or flying down in monsters and beasts. The atmosphere is calm and depressed, giving people a very strange feeling. Li Ruohe? What happened? He appeared here. Wei Suo was shocked again soon. In sight, a blue-yellow escape light came across from a distance. Among the blue-yellow escape light was a handsome man with a handsome face and mature atmosphere, wearing a thin and light the silky gilt gold clothing. The aura exuded on its body, formed a wild ancient beast with 4 wings outside it, which seemed to be filled with a wild and ferocious breath, which was completely opposite to this person's dusty and elegant breath. This monk is really the old friend of Wei Suo, Li Ruohe, the master of the Spirit Beast Palace. Moreover, Li Ruohe's cultivation practice has been amazingly improved compared to before, and he has already reached the cultivation practice of Jindan Wuzhong in the early days. After taking a deep breath, Wei Suo immediately cast an ordinary aura and flew towards Li Ruohe. In this area, the use of ancient mother scriptures to communicate with the atmosphere is extremely unfavorable to Wei Suo, so he is more careful. Even the speed of the escape of the Lingguang is deliberately controlled, making him at most look like an ordinary Jindan. Power. This day are you? Wei Suo swept straight to Li Ruohe. The goal was very obvious. Li Ruohe naturally soon discovered, and came over from a distance. At this moment, Wei Suo was able to transform his figure with his own heart, and became a chunky middle-aged monk. Li Ruohe couldn't see it at all. Master Li Palace, this is Wei Suo. Wei Suo continued to approach Li Ruohe, and at the same time a brief voice was heard in Li Ruohe's ear, "What the happened here?" Wei Daiu, Li Ruohe's body suddenly shocked, his eyes flashed violently, and immediately greeted Wei Suo at a faster speed. "Wei Daiu, unexpectedly, would meet here, why, you just passed by here and don't even know what happened here. I'm tracing the heaven and earth with a strong aura, and I have been here all the way. I just dealt with a group of monks of Yuhan mainland along the way. I know that several major gates of Yuhan mainland are ready to confront Yu Tianzong and 11 Xuanhuan here." Wei Suo swept all the way to Li Ruohe's side, whispering secretly, "What happened to this place, why are you all here?" The old people met, and the sky dome cracked, just like the next world. The look on Li Ruohe's face did not change much, but looking at Wei Suo's eyes was very emotional. "Wei Daiu, you know that Suan Fengmen and Jin Wuzong have already been with these jade are the sect gates of Hung mainland united? You have found out well. These sect gates are here to compete with Yushenzong and Zixianyuan, but Yushenzong and Zixianyuan have some kind of amazing prohibition. The jade may burn down, so the two sides agreed to sit down and talk. Yuhan mainland is a big party and will definitely not stop, so Yu Tianzong and 11 Xianyuan sent many monks to ask for help. This peace talk involves Tianqian mainland all Zongmen interests, so the vast majority of Zongmen and monks received the news. Are you actually negotiating here?" Wei Suo's eyes flickered, which was completely contrary to his expectations. It seems that the embargo imposed by Yu Tianzong and 11 Xianyuan must be extremely amazing. Even the other party has so many divine profound powers were completely deterred. The Zongmen, Suan Fengmen, and Jin Wuzong of Yuhan mainland certainly don't want to have too many deaths and injuries. After all, if they fight together, the winning party doesn't know how much the monk's price will be paid, but although it is said to sit down and talk, there must be a competition. It is necessary to see the strength of both sides. If the strength of Yuhan mainland is obviously dominant, then Yushenzong and Zixianyuan must make great concessions. Li Ruohe looked at Wei Suo said, "The forces of Yuhan continent have wiped out many ancestors of our Tianqian continent. They are completely foreign robbers. When they come, they want to benefit and seize resources. Yushenzong and Zixianyuan are given. Commitment is just to work together to resist foreign enemies, and then will not interfere with the development of the remaining ancestors of the Tianqian continent, so most of the monks we have come to from the Tianqian continent are basically towards the Yushenzong and Zixianyuan. How is your spirit beast palace now?" Wei Suo's eyes flickered. At this moment, Ling Longtian was hidden in a black cloak, and he walked towards the valley on his own, but Fang gave it to Wei. Looking for a wink, it was obvious that he was also clear, and he signaled a step ahead. "Our spirit beast palace is just outside the sky dome near Nangguan city, and a cave was built in a wasteland, but there was a group of monks from the mainland of Yuhan before that place. Released all the raised monsters and escaped. Both the brother and the raised monsters suffered a lot of deaths and injuries. Now the monks of the Spirit Beast Palace are gathered in a gathering place established by Tai Suzong, just behind this, outside the original Sky Dome. It was about 15,000 miles away." Li Ruohe had a bitter smile on his face and nodded toward the far back. "How about your heart?" Wei Suo's brow furrowed. "The Spirit Beast Palace is clearly like a mountain gate being captured, and then when this kind of beast tide is not recovered, the loss of the Spirit Beast Palace can be imagined, and it must be amazing. She was hit hard, but fortunately, there was no worry about her life." Li Ruohe glanced at Wei Suo, Yuhang mainland and Xianfeng men, Zhen Wuzong united. "The momentum is fierce, but fortunately, Wei Daiu, you just arrived. This negotiation, our side suddenly there are many more chances of success." "When did the negotiation begin?" Wei Suo's eyes became cold. His relatives and friends are not many, Li Ruohe and Xuanhuan are at least two of them. Although Li Ruohe and Xuanhuan have not fallen at the moment, he is very clear that Li Ruohe and their escape must be very dangerous. If they are lucky. Almost, on the way to escape, I met some monsters with amazing strength, saying that there would be no more. Under his reminder, the people in the Spirit Beast Palace should have no worries about security. Originally there was no danger, but it just became good luck and did not fall. This alone made Wei Suo suddenly feel a lot of cold killing in his heart. Just this evening Li Ruohe looked at Wei Suo and said, "I'll hide my identity first. If someone asks, you can just say where I am in the casual repairs." Wei Suo nodded, and said this to Li Ruohe while using it with Li Ruohe towards go to the Valley of Negotiations. The hills around the valley are very low for the monks, only 200 to 300 feet high, but the valley is not small, with a radius of 150 to 60 miles. Many monks have arrived in the valley. They are all monks of Tianqian continent. None of the monks of Yuhan continent showed up at all. The aura here is extremely strong, and this negotiation involves all the monks of the Tianqian continent, so at a glance, the valley is dotted with dots, and the aura of the Jindan monk is rising everywhere. Or, the traces are not exposed at all, and the entire Tianqian continent is not famous at all, or almost no one knows its existence. The completely strange Jindan monk appeared in this valley. This is a grand event that completely overwhelms the day-to-day church alliance, and such negotiations are destined to be discussed in terms of strength, and there will be a fierce competition. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1019. Li Gongju, fortunately you are safe and sound. Master Li Palace, you are here. Master Li Palace, say goodbye on that day, but I can't think of meeting again in this situation. Li Ruohe has a wide range of people. After entering the valley, many monks immediately greeted him. Wei Suo looked quietly and looked at the situation in the valley. When Li Ruohe greeted the monk who came up, he only mentioned that Wei Suo was a Jindan casual repairer who was not usually born. Under such circumstances, many Jindan monks who had rarely appeared in the monastic world, and even did not appear at all, arrived here. Among the Jindan monks in the entire valley, 1/3 of the Jindan monks, most of the monks in the sect did not know at all, so there was no such thing as Wei Jinchuo as a Jindan monk. Only under this most turbulent trend will these characters be fully revealed. Wei Suo's eyes flickered, and the scene in the valley was amazing. It was simply unimaginable at ordinary times. The entire Tianqian continent originally had 1,000 and hundreds of large and small cities. On average, there is only one Jindan monk for every city. In this beast tide, I don't know how many Jindan monks fell, but at this moment in the valley, the aura is rolling, but at least 200 or dozens of Jindan monks gathered on the Tianqian continent. In this case, the details equivalent to a continent are revealed. Among the monks of Jingxuan continental Jindan who are almost unknown by 1/3 of the people present at the moment, there are also many Jindan triples. Under such circumstances, all monks know that they happen to be in a terrifying era. All these personal experiences will be recorded in the books of later generations. Any monks present, including Weizhuo, in addition to the shock, there is an extraordinary feeling of blood boiling. Li Gongju, I haven't seen you in a few years. You have broken through to the cultivation of Jindan Wuzhong, which is really gratifying. Another yellow-robed, white-browed, thin-faced elderly Confucian-looking monk approached, holding fists in his hands, and greeted Li Ruohe. This elderly Confucian-looking monk was also an astonishing cultivator of Jindan's early five-fold period. Golden aura, condensed into the shape of many instruments such as chimes, drums, etc. This is the real elder of the Supreme Elder Xuanhuan of the Xianxuzong in the middle of the Tianqian continent. Li Ruohe first transmitted the sound to Wei Suo's ear. After introducing the identity of the old man, he also clenched his fists with both hands and faced the Xuanhuan. The real person performed a ceremony and smiled bitterly, In this case, in order to save my life, I used all the details of my spirit beast palace to have such an entry, but the real person's cultivation is refined and worth celebrating. Xiangsu sect, there is such a monk. Wei Suo's eyes flashed slightly. The Xiangsu sect of Tianqian continent was originally a little ancestral door, which was not even known before. I have heard that many sects and loose repairs are deeply hidden. I'm not the same. It is equivalent to accumulating the generations of our Xiangsu ancestors on my body and several disciples. The real voice of Huanji and Bamei's Xianyan couldn't help but shake his head and smile. These conversations between Xianyan and Li Ruohe made Wei Suo and the few monks heard around him feel unusual feelings in their hearts. Among the classics of the monastery world, there has been the saying that the king of the chaotic world has been in trouble since ancient times. In addition to the large number of monks falling, the remaining monks have relatively many cultivation resources. Many ancestors accumulate ancestors in order to pass down, and they used to take things that were originally unacceptable. It's used, so in the most turbulent era of 150,000 years in the world of monasticism, it is destined to have many amazing characters who are out of the past. This Daiyu doesn't know what the relationship is with Master Li. How do you call it? Xianyan's real eyes fell on Wei Suo again, with some amazing expressions in his eyes. This is Ji Daiyu, a free repair in the southern part of Tianqian continent, and my old friend Li Ruohe, like Fang Cai, introduced Wei Zhuo to Xianyan. Ji Daiyu gives me an extraordinary feeling. It seems that there is also a magical power in the body, not a general Jindan monk. Xianyan lively stared at Wei Suo for a moment, and nodded affirmatively. It seems that this guy also has a peculiar look-alike technique, but you don't have the spirit of God profound, so he can't see through at all. The voice of the old man in green robe rang in Wei Zhuo's ears. Wei Suo had the same idea in his mind, but his face was quiet, but he clasped his fists quietly and performed a salute. He didn't say much at all. Did Yu Tianzong and 11 Xianyuan's monks yet come out? Li Ruohe started the discussion, and took several thrones carved from topaz from Nebao, and others like Wei Suo and Xianyan. Sat down in an empty place. It hasn't come out yet, but it is said that several old antiques of immortality have arrived, and they should discuss things with them. Xianyan nodded his head and looked at Li Ruohe. Several old antiques of Xiangzi and Jiao are also coming? It is said that the old antiques of Xiangzi and Jiao have some amazing secret techniques, and when they come, our Tianqian continent has greatly increased the odds, Li Ruohe said with some surprise. I can only hate Zhen Wuzong and Suan Fengmen, but they have to eat outside, otherwise we have so many ancestors in Tianqian continent, who fear the sect of Yuhan continent. I have a hunch that they will not do what they want this time. Li Ruohe's eyes were imperceptibly swept over Wei Suo and Ling Longtian, who was unnoticed not far away, and said to the real person Xianyan. I hope that, as the palace master said. Xianyan lively looked at the mountain where Yuhan mainland monks gathered, and nodded solemnly. Someone came out. After a while, many monks in the valley snorted. A large piece of brilliance flew out of the green aura of light among the hills where Yuhan mainland monks gathered, coming towards the valley. The people of Yu Tianzong and 11 Xianyuan also came out. It seems that the negotiations will start soon. Immediately, everyone also found that among the huge auras of the broken jade ancient domain, there were also pieces of escape light flying out. Boom! There was a sudden uproar in the valley. The monks on the Yuhan mainland first took the lead. They first reached the valley continuously, but most of them who arrived at the valley were not the monks of the Yuman mainland sect, but the Jinwu sect, Xianfeng Gate, and many originals. Is a monk of the Tianqian continental sect. Running dogs, don't know shame. The owner did not come out, but the dog came out first. A group of running dogs. There are many monks now, sneering and scolding out loud. What do you have the courage to say? Stand up and talk to me alone. A barefoot young man in white stood out from among the monks on the mainland of Yuhan who first fell, standing above a large stone, sneering and looking around. The young man in white has extremely sharp eyes. The vests on his body are all made of a peculiar and tiny white shell. Each nail-sized white shell is engraved with fine runes and woven out. The peculiar vitality fluctuated. The skin on his body was as delicate and clear as white jade. The light blue aura emerging from his body condensed into a sea behind him. In addition to the aura that manifests the sea on his body, this young man with a cold face and extremely harsh eyes does not know what unique secrets he has. He has 7 auras of colorful glow on his body, making it stand out from the crowd like a god. This is a real person from Nanming, Quaishui Island, Nanming. I didn't expect this person to be a survivor of the Yuhang mainland. This person is a monk of Jindan Wuzhong. Many people now recognize the identity of this young man in white. This is a loose repair in an island of waters outside the sky dome of the Tianqian continent. I got an ancient cave mansion. Although his appearance is young, he is actually a 300-year-old old monster who has not appeared for decades. Most monks don't even know that this person exists. How about standing up now, since you're a stray dog? Are you afraid of people saying? A middle-aged man in a black shirt is extremely uncomfortable with this person. He shouted and jumped directly from a mountain rock sitting. Dog-like characters, just because you deserve to yell in front of me. Behind the sea spreading, the cold light flashed in the eyes of the real Nanming real person who surrounded the 7 colorful glow masks, reaching for the middle-aged man in the black shirt. An intangible gas machine made many monks around the middle-aged man in black shirt feel completely horrified. There are also Jindan triple-layered middle-aged men in black shirt stayed in stagnation. No power to return. Boom. Several monks in the black shirt middle-aged big man's body shot together. The power of Nanming real people turned out to be invisible and colorless, and at the time of annihilation and collapse, no glory was revealed at all. Colorless Kwai water god. An old ricket old man who seemed to be about to enter the soil was standing in front of the middle-aged man in a black shirt, and the cold light flashed in his eyes. Nanming, can you represent your side? If we can, we don't mind the moment a war with you. Behind this gray-clothed rickety old man, several Jindan monks and black-shirt middle-aged big men who had just shot together were a bit shocked. Although blocking the shot of the real person in Nanming, several Jindan monks were affected. After a lot of shocks, it is necessary to start. I am afraid that several people will join forces, and it is not the opponent of this real person at all. The 2 parties agreed to sit down and talk. If anyone wants to start, then Xuanhuan will kill them directly. A man in his 30s who looks very loyal, but at the moment a cold murderous man with a wave on his face fell from the air and stood beside the old man in grey clothes. The man's hair was curled up, wearing a yellow gold coat, standing upright, and the aura of his body formed a dazzling sun plate at the back. Among them, there were dragon-shaped totems. Many people know this, and they are from Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan, the real disciple. Xuanhuan looked at the real person of Nanming, and his eyes actually radiated substantive brilliance, condensing into 2 white square runes. At the same time, a terrifying air machine loomed out of the jade-broken ancient land, instantly shrouded the real person of Nanming. This breath machine made Wei Suo and Ling Longtian feel a horror. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1020. This Qi is even comparable to the Qi brought out by the ancient emperor's corpse when it emerged from the yin-yang tomb. Yu Tianzong and 11 Xuanhuan did set a terrifying prohibition in the ancient area of broken jade. The power is enough to cover this valley, and Xuanhuan seems to be like the guidance of the prohibition, which can make the prohibition at any time. Can suppress it on a monk. No wonder Yu Tianzong and 11 Xuanhuan can force Yuhang mainland to sit down and talk. This terrifying anim makes Wei Suo and Ling Longtian feel difficult to resist. It's not just that you have a ban like the Xian Wangdu virtual cannon, our ancient star strikes are enough to kill any one of you present. Suddenly, a Yuhan continent monk wearing a pale green jade clothes came into the sky and sneered a piece of divine light spewing out of the hills occupied by Yuhan continent, condensing into numbers in the extremely high sky. Thousands of silver light dots, like stars, exude the same horror gas machine as in the ancient domain of broken jade. It's like two great peerless powers confronting each other, and the resulting energy fluctuations make all the monks in the valley feel horrified. We are not afraid of the prohibition under your Xuanhuan and Yushenzan cloths, but we do not want to destroy the heaven, earth, spirit, and veins of this place. Yuheng, a mainland monk wearing a pale green jade dress from the sky, is also very young, only 27 or 8 years old, Jindan's triple cultivation, but the exercises and techniques he learned are obviously not ordinary. The aura and the radiant light formed in his body became a strip of divine light. Divine light circling body, girdling belt, this is also a powerful golden phenomenon recorded in the classics. If we find that the records are good, you are banned, every blow will take an amazing amount of heaven and earth aura. This very famous young Yuhan mainland monk stood opposite Xuanhuan and continued his indifference. Said. It turned out to be such a ban. Wei Suo's eyebrows could not help but jumped up. It was no wonder that such a terrible qi machine could be issued. The original prohibition arranged by Yu Tianzong and 11 Xuanhuan was at the expense of amazing spiritual energy. This is obviously a long-lost ancient prohibition. Reappeared here, because for more than 100,000 years, there is no such aura-rich place in the monastic world. At this time, the two sides were even, and there was no advantage. The old man in the green robe could not help but called out. At the moment, all the monks of the Tianxian continent in the valley were embarrassed. The monks all have a horrified feeling of hair upside down, and the young monk of Yuhan mainland suddenly unveiled the cards of both sides. Yu Tianzong and 11 Xuanhuan's bands do not have an advantage at all. If they really fight, I am afraid that this is the crack. The bands on both sides will not work, or rely on the magical powers of the monks on both sides. I don't want to break the agreement between the two parties. This is my personal grievance with this person and has nothing to do with the talks. Nan Mingzhen is also a cold voice at the moment, and the pressure of the consciousness on the black shirt middle-aged the monk said, if you have the guts to say me, dare you come out and fight with me? Good to say, I want to see if you dare to fight me. Suddenly, a cold roar came from far and near, approaching quickly. He said that you are a running dog, but I said that you are not even as good as a running dog. If you want to duel, then fight with me first. His cultivation practice is in the late stage of Jindan's fivefold. There was a look of surprise in Wei Suo's eyes. The person who made a very strong voice was also wearing a blue cassock, which looked simple and unpretentious, but it was rippling with an extremely tough weather that came out of the sky. It was Yoshin Fengwukang, the true disciple of Zone. At this moment, the spirit of Fengwukang has changed, and a giant egg is formed above the head. The spirit is constantly churning, as if there is something to be conceived and born. Obviously, under such circumstances, Yu Tianzong and other sects have also used a lot of the accumulated sect of the sect, and removed many of the things that the sect did not normally use. Fengwukang's temperament has also changed a lot, his eyes are very deep, and there are streamers flying inside. Don't be as good as dogs, dare to clamor, I'll kill you, as simple as a dog slaughter. Fengwukang came in the air, the momentum became more and more powerful, and the murderous opportunities. Fengwukang, others are afraid of you, and I am afraid that you will not succeed. Nanming Real Man sneered. The 7 colorful halo of light on his body was glorious, forming a layer of light curtain. What are you doing? So much nonsense, get me out of here. Fengwu sneered, I just killed you Liwei, let everyone see what is going on in the world. Fengwukang, you are too arrogant, do you think you are my opponent? The real man of Nanming can no longer bear it, reaching out and pressing forward, while offering a peach-shaped pink jade branch, blooming a piece of glow. Buzz. A round of grey-black crescent moon bloomed from the front of Fengwukang, like a broken bamboo, directly breaking through the colorless and invisible power played by the real person of Nanming, just like a meteor, striking the pink color sacrificed by the real person of Nanming, the glow of the jade branches. How can a missing month be possible? Nanming and many monks exclaimed. Pieces of glowing light were shattered, and the mighty power shook Nanming real people back and forth. Buzz. The void oscillated again. Feng Wuqiang once again hit a round of crippled crescent moons. All the brilliance in front of Nanming Jinren almost completely cracked, and his body shook. Stop. Yu Heng, a young man in mainland wearing a pale green jade dress, and several powerful figures of Jinwu sect and Xuanhuan men shouted at the same time. His breath rose sharply, and he wanted to protect the real person in front of Nanming. This is a personal grudge between the two parties. But at the same time, Huang Wei, a true disciple of 11 Xuanhuan's true disciple, spoke out loudly, and the glory again appeared in his eyes. The young people in the mainland of Yuheng and Jinwuzong and Xuanfeng men in pale green jade clothes, all the monks were horrified, and the terrifying horror machine loomed over the heads of several of them. Kill you like a dog slaughter. The breath of Feng Wuqiang was so high, a round of grey-black crescent moon smashed the pink jade branches in front of Nanming Jinren into countless fragments, suppressing it on Nanming Jinren. Puff. The extraordinary white vestment on the real person of Nanming couldn't stop it, and his flesh broke apart, and he was directly beaten into fly ash. Good kill. Feng Wuqiang killed 3 monks at the same level in the other side, killing all the monks on the Tianqian mainland. How can Feng Wuqiang list the missing moon? What is the relationship between him and the monk Wei who has fallen? Many monks couldn't help but talk about it, making guesses. At this moment, only Wei Suo, who sat quietly in the corner, knew what was going on. A group of dog-like guys, this is the end for the dog. Willingly Feng Wuqiang killed Nanming real people with a single blow, like the of war. His eyes swept sharply towards Zhenwuzong and Xuanfeng men. You even ignored the agreement between the two parties and killed our monk. The young man in Yuheng, who was wearing a pale green jade suit, turned pale and shouted loudly, "You are provocative first, it seems that you don't want to talk. You don't want to bluff. If it's not that you are afraid that our jade will be burnt, and you have already let go of the war, since you can't bear the spirit here, don't shout in front of us. If you're a dog, you must also clip my tail and obediently curl up. Don't be arrogant in front of us." Feng Wuqiang is extremely strong. He took a step forward and forced this young man in Yuheng, who was wearing a pale green jade dress. This person has long said that it is a personal grudge. If you don't agree, we can also come to a duel and have a life and death. Good. The monks on the Tianqian continent were suddenly full of blood. Many people shouted loudly and yelled, "Since you are a dog, you have to hold your tail and keep a low profile." Yu Yuheng, a young man in a pale green jade dress, shivered with anger, but only after seeing that Feng Wuqiang had beaten Nanming real people at all. There was no power to fight back. The young people of Hung mainland are self-aware, so they dare not answer. Why do the monks of Tianqian Continental like to fight alone? Is it possible to call someone a dog if you cultivate high? If so, then can I also call all of you dogs? At this time, a huge breath fell from the sky, so that Wei Suo and Ling Longtian's eyes immediately followed. This huge breath alone has already made Wei Suo and Ling Longtian affirm for the first time that it is the Shenqian power on the Yuhang continent side. When the sound fell, a mysterious mystery like sandalwood spread across the valley. This is indeed a true divine profound power. There is no spiritual flow out of the body, but it exudes an overwhelming immense majesty, and a blue divine light flows at the foot, as if coming from a side of the divine spring. The monks of the Tianqian mainland in many valleys were breathed by the breath of breath, but Wei Suo and Ling Longtian could not help but exchanged glances in secret. The true bone age of this Xian Mengneng is very young, and his qi and blood are like the rising Sunday. His age should be only 30 years old. He is a real young man with a tall figure, who reveals a strong edge and wears a black iron vest. The whole body is like a handsome soldier with an extraordinary face, especially a pair of eyes that are particularly large and bright, flashing layers of purple divine light from time to time. This young divine profound power has only divine profound training, which is not surprising for Wei Suo and Ling Longtian, but the most important thing is that from the 6 monks of Yuhan mainland, Wei Suo he Ling Longtian has never heard of the existence of such a divine power. In other words, the number of Shenxian mighty power on the Yuhan continent has also exceeded their previous expectations. How are you, do you agree? The young man's Shenxian de Neng's eyes lingered with purple light, and he was approaching directly towards Feng Wukang. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1021. The whole valley suddenly became dead. Although the monk of Yuhan mainland was young, there was an insurmountable distance between Shenxian and Jindan. The breath alone was the arrival of the real king, which caused many people. All of them were trembling. If the common Jindan monks dared to utter their voices, they might be killed directly, and there was no power to fight back. Boom! The young Xian De Neng of Yuhan continent took another step in the air again. Although he stepped on the void, countless cyan iridescence sprang out like countless cyan swords in all directions, but he sent out a pedal drum, a huge roar. Compared with this level of divine profound power, ordinary Jindan monks are almost as fragile as eggs, while this level of divine profound power is completely like a giant mountain, and the momentum can be overwhelmed. Fight to fight. Feng Wukang's eyes appeared unprecedentedly fierce, unruly, and completely without a trace of fear. Under his feet, 7 brilliant silver star-like lights suddenly emerged. Yuhang mainland's young divine power. What? Many people could not help exclaiming, but almost everyone did not expect that under the majestic oppression of the cultivation ability completely beyond their own power, Feng Wukang even made no effort and directly shot. Yuhan mainland, a binocular with a gleaming purple light, and a young Xian Daninj, who stepped on the sky and made a huge roar of war drums, was also amazed. He did not expect that Feng Wukang would be so strong. This stunned Yuhan young continent's young god, Xian De, was able to play a cyan divine power, condensed into a green giant mountain, and instantly shattered the dazzling Daozun shot by Feng Wukang. Shocked at him, causing him to step back and forth in the void, groaning, and his face was pale. Even the physical pain can't be controlled, and she is affected. This kind of Shenxian is nothing more than that. If I break through Shenxian, killing you is like killing a dog. Feng Wukang was swept by a cyan sacred rainbow, and he coughed up a big mouthful of blood, but at the same time he coughed up a scream, but he made a tremendous laughter, and he did not retreat. Keep playing a venerable starlight Daozun. Bei Mingdu turns, burning Yuan Tian. Feng Wukang is really like the god of war. Even Jin Dangzio is used as a way to suppress God profound power. Almost all the monks present were stupefied, and then many monks of the Tianqian continent also shouted roaring sky. Feng Wukang's fight is like cutting meat, but his will is like iron, and despite his physical body and Xiao Yuan being damaged, she has no pause, and the young Xian De Neng of Yuhan mainland has the original speed of application. He Shui was definitely above him, but every time he was injured by Feng Wukang's Shui, he slowed down the application speed and was suppressed by Feng Wukang instead. Fighting in this way, Feng Wukang certainly won, but in this case, playing Jin Dangzio as a Shenxian mighty power is extremely embarrassing, but it is enough to make all the valleys that are hostile to Yuhan continent in this valley. The blood of the monks of the profound mainland was completely ignited. Suddenly, the young Xian De Neng from Yuhan mainland suddenly shouted again. The face of 11 Xian Yuan's true brother Xuanhuan is also extremely cold, and his eyes burst into light again, and in the broken jade ancient domain, the horror gas machine that seemed to wipe out everything suddenly shrouded in this. The body of the young Xian De Neng of the famous Yuhan mainland made the cold hair of this young Xian De Neng all erected. Don't be afraid, this is a personal grudge between you and you. We will never violate the agreement between the two parties in advance, but Huang Wei just glanced at the young Xiande Neng of the Yuhang continent with some contempt. Boom. Feng Wukang took the opportunity to play a round of crippled months, and hit she this apparently young Yuxuan continent of Yuhang continent. What? This round of impoverished months was blocked by more than 10 feet in front of the young Xiande Neng of the Yuhang continent. Under the impact of the huge power, this young Xiande Neng's body was also a huge shock, and there was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with a terrified look. Vile and nasty. Many Yuhang monks on the mainland almost crooked their noses. This is obviously Huang Wei's use of the forbidden horror gas machine to disperse the mind of the young Xiande Neng of the Yuhang mainland, but Huang Wei's mouth seems to despise this Xiande Neng timidly. Interesting. Wei Suo's blood is also a little boiling, and he has a great affection for Huang Wei, and he has a heart for making friends. Although this true brother of Yu Tianzong looks ordinary, and his appearance is loyal and honest, it is obviously completely unappealing, and in fact it is also a terrible wit. Okay, wait for you to break through to Shenxian, and then cut him off. Why do you destined to have no shoulders with you at all? In the future you are destined to only look up to your guy to spend energy. Boo, with a peaceful voice that seemed to be telling a certain fact, a bright moonlight-like light fell from the sky, blocking between Feng Wukang and the young Xiande Neng. A white jade belt was worn around his waist, wearing a red golden Zhaiguan coat, as if the divine profound power in a piece of evening glow came down. Not only is this monk tall, but his hands and feet seem to be naturally different, much larger than the average monk, and he looks majestic in his posture. An unparalleled power oscillated from this monk, and the red golden light beams with the thickness of the thumb, which constantly emerged from the monk's body, fell like a straight line of rain on the ground. These strange columns of red gold light fell on the ground, but they were constantly showing red gold bubbles, which looked extremely mysterious. Shenxian triple. Wei Suo's gaze had already gathered on the body of Shenxian Mengnang, whose posture could not be said to be majestic and tall. At this moment Feng Wukang called Master, there is no nonsense to stop, no one needs to say. Wei Suo has also understood that this name appeared Shenxian Mighty is the master of the Jade Heaven section. Wei Suo saw that he should be a monk of Shenxian triple, but he didn't know whether he had realized his own divine pattern, and whether he could transform a great area. What did you say? Yu Hung, the young continent of the mainland who held her body in the air, almost turned her nose. Why, don't you dare to call me in battle. Sect Master Yushin glanced indifferently at the young Xiande Neng. A huge starlight giant palm instantly turned into the young Xiande of Yuhang mainland in front of him. He shot the young Shenxian Danenge directly. The monks on the mainland of Yuhang were all ugly, but they did not dare to make any sound. Now these people see that Feng Wukang is just carved out of the Sect Master Yushin. Sect Master Yushin, it is also an indescribable force. Now if anyone dares to speak out, I am afraid that he will be shot directly by the Jade Sect Master. Ah! 2 young nosebleeds flowed out of the nose of the young Xiande Neng from Yuhang mainland, and they roared. Cultivating into Shenxian at his age can also be said to be a rare sky through the ages, but the first was the aggressive force, but was beaten by Feng Wukang, and was humiliated by the words of the Jade Sect Master. He flew and his nose bleed, which made him tremble with anger. If you dare to come up, I don't mind killing you directly. Anyway, among the people who sat down and talked, there are not many like you, and there are many like you. The young Shenxiande Neng put it in his eyes and said with a sneer. Boom! Suddenly, the peculiar fragrance of Shenxian diffused, a strong and extremely strong atmosphere was disturbed, and the clouds changed color. In the sky, the light was strange, and in the extremely high altitude, the clouds of clouds were avoided by the complete shock, and a clear and bright beam of light fell. Why, will Jade Sect Master bully the younger generation? In the void, first a white misty airflow fell, which was as thick as a mountain, large and heavy, like a side of the Tianhe River. A skinny Taoist wearing a white bone crown stepped out of it, with an overwhelming, aggressive and majestic power, just like the real God King, with a kind of sacred and majestic that cannot be offended. A circle of white divine light outside the thin Taoist, a bone throne is formed, above which is a strange bone demon, a total of 8 heads, 24 arms, looking around in all directions. This is not aura, but the unique Xuanhuan can make the divine light generated by the qi turbulence naturally turn into, and it represents the mystery and divine power of the magic and power of the Xian. In the later period of Shenxian triple, it should have already realized the territory of one side, and the strength should be above the Jade Sect Master Ling Longtian's voice suddenly entered Wei Suo's ear. Which is the mysterious power of Yuhang mainland. The power is so amazing that it seems to have overwhelmed the Yushan sect master. All the monks on the Tianqian continent are horrified. The other party has already appeared in the 2 divine profound powers, especially the divine profound power with a white bone crown. The monk is in awe. But at this moment, a breath of horror that was equally difficult to breathe came. The 4 monks who were also rippling with unique mysterious metaphysical phases fell with all kinds of divine light phases, and the whole valley was suddenly flooded with monstrous light and colors. 4 people. It turned out that the 4 gods Xian and Neng came together. In the valley, it seems that a lot of unique vitality is suddenly carved, so that everyone feels that his body seems to be 10 times heavier. Full of 6 gods' mysterious power. On the side of Yuhang mainland, there were 6 Shenxian mighty powers. This kind of momentum is too shocking. Although it has long been foreseen that the strength of Yuhang continent is amazing, but seeing the gods of the 6 profound powers flood the entire valley, all the monks on the Tianqian continent also developed a feeling of powerlessness. A Shenxian mighty is like a giant pillar of Optimus, this is 6, and the strength of the 2 sides now seems too disparate. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1022. At the same time, there are 4 Shenxian mighty, 2 of whom are Weizhuo's acquaintances, Suan Fengmen sect master Ye Xiancheng and Jinwu sect master Su Xianjun. Ye Xuanquan's face was as cold as a sword, and there was a huge roar inside and around him, as if coming with a 9-day wind. The light of Su Xianjun was scattered, like a star. The breath was stable and magnificent, and it seemed that he had obtained some treasures, which completely drove away the adverse effects of Wei Suo's previous blow. One of the other 2 gods, Xian de Neng, is an emperor wearing gold armor and a Taoist wearing a green robe. The emperor wearing gold armor is very majestic, his face is square, the gold armor on his body is all embossed with dragon heads, especially the armor on the head, and it is directly a golden dragon head, which makes most of the head of this king. Protect it. There is a dragon's breath. This is the head of a real ancient golden dragon, the old man in green robe immediately called out, and Wei Suo's eyes flicked violently. This gleaming faucet is not made of fine gold, but a real skull of the dragon head, rippling the dragon power of the ancient dragon. This pair of golden emperor's armor is definitely a trivial matter, far from being comparable to the ordinary vestments. In addition to this armor that is drenched with dragons, this majestic emperor with a square face has countless purple electro-optical flashes above his head, naturally forming a huge purple thunder ball with a radius of dozens of feet. People can't force it. Another Taoist wearing a green robe has a common face, but his head is like jasper, flashing aura, dancing naturally in the air, turning into a trajectory, as if weaving a powerful law of vitality. He walked down slowly in the air, and every stepped out, there were hundreds of jasper-like delions out of the sky out of nothing, and countless light patterns appeared in each delion. This is purely a heaven-shattering powerhouse who has already realized a certain avenue of law, and every step interweaves a divine domain with unimaginable power, at least one level with Yahua Yingtian. There was no silence at all at this time in the whole valley, and no monk on the side of Tianqian de 6 could speak. The sect sovereign of the Yushan sect is indeed very arrogant, and his magical powers are amazing, but the single tree is difficult to support. The other party is the 6 Shenxian mighty powers. There is no possibility of surviving at all. I am afraid that a face-to-face meeting will be destroyed. Humph. The sect master Yuxian seemed to be a little uncomfortable, but he still snorted heavily, and looked at the thin Taoist with a white bone crown. Wanzong mainly fights me alone. I will not refuse it. I'm not a young man anymore, why should I be brave? The thin Taoist with a white bone crown looked at the sect master Yuxian indifferently. We have 6 people, you are alone, what qualifications are you fighting against us? Dongtang sect master is nothing more than that sect master. Yu Tian sneered and turned to Ye Xiancheng and Su Xianjun. How about you two? Dare to fight me alone? I haven't had any war avoidance ever since I practiced Ye Xiancheng Sheng. A wave of murderous opportunity oscillated in the void, but this is not a problem of fighting without war, but if you only have such strength, you are not qualified at all. Talk to us. Not to mention fairness. The sovereign of the immortals Xuanhuan is not here, so afraid to come at all. Only you, a divine profound power, is not qualified to talk to us at all. The emperor wearing the golden emperor's armor, the voice thundered and fell. Nobody like our monk, no one will lose their vitality in order to fight for their will. If you are the only one, you don't have to sit down and talk. The Taoist wearing the pale green vestment was also quiet, but the breath on his body pressed many monks in the valley to suffocate. We will pick you up next. Prohibition directly attacked the ancient area of broken jade. Why, Tianxianda 6 is empty, dare to fight against us, only you are a Xian Meng. The sect master of the nether earth wearing a white bone crown looked at the sect master Yu Tian indifferently, and he laughed. Sound. Almost all the monks of Tianxianda 6 in the valley are speechless, which is a complete humiliation, but they can hardly stand up at this moment. The 6 divine profound powers are like the 6 great sky giant mountains. They are suppressed in this valley. The difference in strength is too great. Generally speaking, even if the Jindan triple monks, in front of the divine profound power, which has transformed into the avenue of the avenue, all are like ants. Yep. Suddenly, all the divine profound powers, including Wei Suo and Ling Longtian, looked quietly toward the sky. At the moment, the sunset was bloody, and the red sunset in the sky dyed the entire wasteland red. Between the heavens and the earth, an old figure was flying fast. Jade Sect Master, I'll fight against you side by side. A majestic breath unique to Shen Xianda Neng came from a distance with an old voice. It's him. He actually broke through to Shen Xian. Wei Suo's eyes were instantly filled with surprises, and Ling Longtian also widened his eyes in surprise. Both eyes are far from ordinary monks. The first one to see clearly, the person coming is an extremely old Wei, almost all the head of the head is off, the wrinkles on his face are like a knife, wearing a blue background, there are simple robes with red stripes like meteor tracks. At this moment this extremely old road came across the sky, and the aura behind him formed dozens of long phoenix tail feathers, dancing in the sky. This old man, completely out of the accident of Wei Suo and Ling Longtian, turned out to be a real phoenix of Wuji Tiangong. Wei Suo and Ling Longtian had already been to Wuji Tiangong deliberately before, but Wuji Tiangong should have just happened to face an amazing tide of beasts, completely destroyed, and left nothing. Near Wuji Tiangong, Wei Zhuo and Ling Longtian even encountered several monsters of the mysterious level of the gods, so that they fled and fought slowly. The two did not expect that the real person Yu Fei not only did not fall into the amazing beast tide, but also broke through to the Xianzai Wei and appeared at this moment. It is a real person of Feather Phoenix. It is a real person of Feather Phoenix of Wuji Temple. He broke through to Shenxian. Soon, the 6 monks of Tianxianda in the valley could see who the person was, and many people shouted excitedly. On the side of Tianxianda 6, there is finally another Xianda. The real body of Yahuang is rickety and looks very old, but the breath coming from the sky is very firm, and there is a breath that can be burned with jade and stone. Congratulations to Yahuang Dai for promotion to Shenxian. Sovereign of the Yushan sect was also a little stunned, and immediately congratulated him. What's so gratifying? Realistic Yu Huang sighed, his eyes and expression were very vicissitudes. Just soon after breaking through Shenxian, there is such an additional one. What's the use? Su Shenjun, the sect master of the true Wu sect, sneered. Su Shenjun, you forgot that the heaven and earth gave you such a cultivation. I have no fear that the Tiangong mountain gate no longer exists. Anyway, my old bone has no scruples. Believe it or not, if it is a battle, can I die with you? Yu Huang said slowly, looking directly at Su Shenjun. It's a pity that there are only two of you. Even if you want to kill me, you can't do it at all. Su Shenjun sneered. Very good, Yahuang Daoran, based on your words, if you start a war next time, I can disregard others and fight with me to kill this person with you. The sect master Yushan extended his finger directly, far away nose Su Shenjun's nose. The momentum and eyes of the two made Su Shenjun unable to hold back, and his heart was cold. Who just said that I was too scared to come? The old man just perfected the ban here and took a short rest. At this moment, a peaceful voice came from the ancient jade domain, and everyone heard clearly. An old man dressed in plain linen appeared from an aura of light in the broken jade ancient domain. The old man's face looks very ordinary, his figure is not tall, his head is grey, and there is no divine breath at all, but his face is flashing a strange brilliance, like the light of wisdom. His movements didn't look fast, but in just a few steps, he had reached the top of the valley and slowly fell. The profiteer, this old man's cultivation is very high, it is the cultivation of Shenxian's fourfold primary level. Ling Longtian's voice quietly passed into Wei Suo's ear, making Wei Suo's brows jump. Some legendary top powerhouses of Tianxianda 6 finally appeared, almost all. Although Wei Suo didn't know that the Tianlanzhenhai mirror on his body originally belonged to this old man, but he also knew very well at this moment that this old man must be the master of the West Immortals, Huang Daijun. The only thing that greatly exceeded his expectations was Huang Daijun's cultivation behavior. Huang Daijun's exercises and techniques are very peculiar. If there is no Ling Long sky transmission, he simply can't perceive what his practice is. Now I'm here, I think everyone should be able to sit down and talk. Wearing sackcloth, the old man of ordinary appearance walked to the side of Yahuang reality, made a cheek to the real person of Yahuang, made a salute, and then looked at the 6 strong men on the side of Yuhang Big 6 and said normally. It's just that I said that you were afraid to come. How come? There are only 3 of you. Even if you are added, it is not qualified at all. The emperor wearing the golden shrine armor stepped forward. Yao Yang Gui general, watching Huang Daijun said indifferently. Is it? Huang Daijun smiled slightly, and there was nothing superfluous. With a bang, a large piece of green light evolved directly above the emperor wearing gold armor. Numerous lines of light formed a piece of green emerald bamboo, which suppressed directly. Boom! Countless lightning flashes above the golden armored emperor, intertwining inexplicable laws. But this piece of thunder and light collapsed instantly, and the body of the golden armor king was directly hit by the inexplicable force. Numerous rocks were shot, and a huge pit was exploded. The sect master of the nether earth wearing a crown of bones immediately opened up a white world, and there seemed to be countless white bone mountains constantly evolving before it blocked the Huang Daijun's blow. You resisted me and the 2 of you at the most, and you still have no qualifications after resisting this blow. The sect master of the netherworld still looked at Huang Daijun with a sneer. Chapter 993 is qualified. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1023. All the monks Tianxian and Luxian were very ugly. Although the Golden Emperor was crushed to the ground by the town, he did not suffer much damage. The sovereign of the underworld and this golden armored emperor are both powerful people who have already realized the power of one side of the road. If the same as the sovereign of the underworld, the Huangdaijun can only resist the two people together, the remaining 4 Shenxian power is still an overwhelming advantage. In this case, if the two sides are fighting, the 3 gods of heaven, Xianda and Lu, may be killed in 1 or 2 shots. Master Sect Master, I'm afraid you might look away. At this moment, Wei Suo and Ling Longtian were shocked again, looking towards the mountain occupied by Yuhang Lu, and a very beautiful female voice like a pearl falling into a jade plate came out. Immediately, a female Xiu Ling walked step by step. The woman is extremely beautiful, with a figure as tall as Nangong looking, a melon seed face, breast enhancement and thin waist, her skin is as clear as jade, and she is completely dressed as a queen. She is wearing a simple golden dragon and robe with wide sleeves and the hem is extremely long, with black hair like a waterfall, wearing a phoenix crown embedded with many brilliant gemstones, and the body emits a colorful glow around the body, forming a colorful fringe. This is totally a goddess, a female emperor, exuding the breath of a real king. The delicate facial features and the queen's majestic atmosphere are intertwined to form a unique and stunning beauty, so that Wei Suo, who is accustomed to a peerless beauty, can't help but feel a rush of heart because of beauty. Hiss. There was another air-puffing sound in the valley, and almost all the monks on the land of Tianqiandalu were horrified. It is also a divine profound power. This queen of phoenix crown Xiamen stepped out in every step in the void, and even the sky in the distance had countless brilliances, and the vibration of vitality made many monks in the valley have blood and vibration. The monk felt that his heart was about to burst. Moreover, this skin is like white jade, and the power of the queen exuding mysterious fragrance seems to be stronger than the other monks of Yuhangdalulu. This woman is also a monk with 4 levels of Shenxian, which is similar to the old man of Xianyuan. Ling Longtian's voice passed into Wei Suo's ear again. I don't know which friend of Yuhangdalulu is a famous monk. Seeing this tall queen appeared, Huangdaijun, who had always been calm, but also had a somewhat dignified look, looked at the queen and asked. My name is which goddess? Donglei's secret realm. The queen's face was calm, but it naturally revealed a powerful kingly majesty. This is the time when the time is at a very high position. The king of one side can naturally bring the breath, and it is not intentionally revealed. Donglei's secret realm turned out to be not the 3 super sects, but the 4 super sects. Wei Suo and Ling Longtian were shocked at the same time. People already know that Donglei's secret realm is a very mysterious super ancestor gate of Yuhangdalulu, as well as a Wanhuang palace, and the strength is probably still on top of other super ancestry gates. I can't think of not only Zhongtianzili sect, Ningtu sect, and Tourmaline sect, but also Donglei's secret realm. Huangdaijun's expression became more dignified. Looking at his look, I am afraid that understanding of Donglei's secret realm is better than Weizhuo and Ling Long. Many days. The queen smiled a little, and her style was magnificent, exuding the world's prestige. Her pair of phoenixes stayed on the young Xian Mengnang. We in Donglei's secret realm already have Shen Xian Mengnang coming out, but you are not in you Taoist eyes only. It turns out that this person is also a monk in Donglei's secret realm. Wei Suo frowned. The young Xian Mengnang, who was made by Feng Wukang, was actually a monk in Donglei's secret realm, and this young Xian Mengnang should also be a breakthrough time soon. In this way, Donglei's secret realm even has more than 2 gods. Xian Danange. Huang sect master, if you and I are fighting, the victory may be between 5 and 5, I have waited for so many people. If you refuse to give up this place, I am afraid that several of your families will no longer exist. The queen named witch goddess still has a calm expression, but the sound she made many monks tremble. What Wu Daiyu said was not bad. Huang Daijun didn't refute anything, but just glanced into the broken jade ancient territory at the rear. Almost at the same time, a huge gas machine suddenly fell from the sky, completely inferior to the two forbidden gas machines of the former Yuxing Delulu's waxing ancient king Strike and Yu Tianzong's fairy king Dug Zhe Cannon. The difference is that this huge air machine is coming from the sky. If there is anything shocking, it can come at any time. I didn't expect you to have the secret realm of Donglei. The seven gods are mysterious, and the strength is indeed terrifying, but ours is not the only one. This is the praying the immortal technique of several Taoist friends who wish to kill you. It shouldn't be difficult for a divine profound power, Huang Daijun continued after this gas machine was revealed. Even if your strength is superior, if you want to actually go to war, at least half of you will fall. I think this situation is enough for both parties to sit down and talk. Huang Daijun looked at the queen and said calmly and seriously. Why don't both of us take the posture of life and death? The witch goddess didn't nod and agreed, only a slight smile. We Udeo lose Shi Udeo Daja and your Tianxian de Luo lose monks. Usually there is no communication. Today, there are many young talents on both sides. Is it better than us, the elders, to let them talk and exchange? Competing outside of the divine profound power? Almost all the monks on the land of Tianxiandalu immediately flashed their eyes, and the witch goddess said this. It seemed to want to see the strength comparison between the two Jindan monks. The brows of Huang Daijun, sect master Yushin sect, and Yahuang reality are all unconsciously wrinkled. These three are very experienced old people. They think far more than ordinary monks, and this witch goddess speaks. A moment of expression made the three people feel that the witch goddess seemed to have no cards. Moreover, the move of the witch goddess seems to be more than just wanting to see if there is a very threatening monk present on the side of Tianxiandalu, but still wants to pass the competition to remove some Tianxiandalu. There are some amazing young people who have great potential and may have great achievements. Why, do you not agree with Huang Daiyu? Looking at Huang Daijun and others who did not respond for a while, the witch goddess sent a queen supremely, said indifferently, after all, even if we sit down and talk with you this time, share here in the future, the competition will still be those of our juniors. It is very difficult for us to make further progress quickly with our cultivation practice. At most, it is still to contain each other, but if you are the younger generation of monks, they are not our opponents at all. Then in the future you must also be driven out of this place. In the future, your Tianxiandalu will have no resistance against our Yuhangdalu, and you don't have to insist on anything today. Huang Daijun and Yushin sect master glanced at each other, their eyes flickered, and they had not decided yet, but the young Xian Daninge of Yuhangdalu had already sneered again. Why, don't you dare? In ancient times, in repairing the Taoist realm, among many monarchs, in order to avoid amazing deaths and injuries and damage the geniuses and treasures that both sides want to capture, there is such a competition. First draw a group of evenly matched powers. Xiaozi fights. This kind of fight has a unique name in ancient times. It was called kill to the chill. One side was killed to the utmost fear, and dared not have a monk to come out, so he confessed his defeat. Today, your strength is obviously invincible. If you want to occupy this place, if you dare to promise to fight so hard, then we will kill you in your side. Fat fart. As a Shenxian, beaten by the wind Wukang, screaming shyly. You don't just rely on the divine profound power in person. If you don't have these divine profound powers, you don't know who killed who. Was afraid. This young divine profound power was already among the monks of Tianxiandalu. The image of the loser was left in my heart. At this moment, he was so mad, which immediately caused a lot of anger from Tianxian. I was beaten down. A glorious look appeared on the face of the young and powerful Nangxian, the of Xian Honglu. He took a step directly in the air and stretched his fingers to point at Feng Wukang. A battle. If this person dares, I will let you see who is being beaten down. Immediately, this young Xian Daninge of Yuhangdalu sneered at Tianxiandalu in all the valleys. In the eyes of the Jade sect master Yu Tian, there is a strong man, but he can only hold back. Feng Wukang is the first to seize the opportunity, and the battle continues. although it can also give this Donglei secret realm's young Xiande can cause great damage, but he will certainly fall. Master, I'm afraid I have to fight today. Fen Wukang took a step and suddenly gave a big gift to the sect master Yushan. Then he burst out with an unspeakable will, and looked directly at this Yuheng Dabo Lu's young divine power. Come on, I'll let you know who is chilling. Everyone can see that Fen Wukang has already held the mortal heart, and the hands of the sect master Yushan are shaking imperceptibly, but he finally did not say anything, because this is Fen Wukang's pride. It is very clear about Fen Wukang's character. Under such circumstances, unless he tries to suppress Fen Wukang, he will never stop this battle. Fen Wukang paid a big gift to him, which meant to thank him for preaching and nurturing grace. Kill him. Fen Wukang's determined will and the fighting intentions on his body made the blood of all the monks in Tianqiandalulu instantly boil, and many people roared and shook the world at this moment. The young Xian Daninj in Donglei's secret realm couldn't help but look slightly white, and his heart was uncontrollably borne with a chill. Why so? Even if my younger brother Zizi could kill Fen Wukang, he would have to pay a staggering price. The queen-like witch goddess shook her head again at this moment, and said indifferently, so everyone can't make a difference. Two people have already fought a game, and even if there is a contest, it is better to wait until the other day a contest. Fen Wukang, do you remember to explore the Lingyu city with you for rehearsal? You are me, I will help you remove this person. At this moment, a voice came into the wind quietly in Wukang's ears. Fen Wukang's body suddenly shocked. Star. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1024. Why don't you have to use a ox knife to kill chickens? This kind of character lets me cope with it. Wei Suo heard the voice in Fen Wukang's ear, and immediately spoke again, and at the same time he glanced at the Linglong angel. This kind of two sides of the divine profound power can gather together, and it is difficult to break out of the melee when there is a shocking prohibition. Because there is no divine profound power to be able to withdraw from the whole body, if you can do it, you can kill the other one or two. Ming Shen Xian mighty, then the next duel will be more beneficial. With his magical power at this moment, under the full blow, there should be no problem in wanting to kill the young Xiande Neng in this Donglei secret realm. And Fen Wukang is likely to fall off against this person, so he has already decided to come forward. But what he didn't think at all was that at the time of his voice, at least 5 or 6 old voices sounded at the same time, and even 3 old people rose directly into the sky, challenging the young Shenxian of Donglei's secret realm monk. These 3 old men are the same as the former Yahuang real people. They are all old antiques that have been half cut into the earth. At this moment, they obviously want to replace Fen Wukang to fight for their lives. Fen Wukang's eyes swept over Wei Suo and these old men, but he didn't stay too much. He controlled the look on his face very well, and there was nothing obvious. Everyone thought he was shaking because he had so many monks in his place. To deal with you, there is no need for Wu Mo Daiyu to shoot, I will do it. At this moment, a cyan figure swept slowly from the side of Yuhengdalulu, calmly standing in the sky opposite the Tianqiandalulu antiques in their early 3s. This, many monks of Tianqiandalulu, especially Wei Suo, Linglong Tian, Li Ruohe, Fen Wukang, stayed fierce. This is a young man in ordinary Tsingyi, and his face is exactly the same as Wei Suo, even the faint aura of the body is very similar to Wei Suo. No, the old man in green robe was completely dumbfounded. This person was transformed into you by technique and somehow. Even I can't see through its true colors. Ling Longtian's voice quickly passed into Wei Suo's ear. Why is this person exactly the same as Wei Wei, who wiped out Tianji Unzone? Did the domineering real person not fall, and even join the Yuhangda Luolu side? On the same day, Wei Suo wiped out the Tianji sect, completely shaking the entire Tianqiandalu, and many monks rushed to see it with his own eyes. At this moment, many Tianqian monks recognized it and exclaimed, "Who are you? Actually posing as my friend?" Feng Wukang had received Wei Suo's voice before, and his heart was clear and true, and he immediately drank coldly. I'm not your friend. I don't need to tell you who I am. This young man in Xingyi didn't entangle with Feng Wukang at all, and looked at the old antiques of the three Tianqiandalulu in the air across from him. Which of you comes first? If it's really that person, I'm afraid there is no possibility of winning at all. Almost all the monks on Tianqiandalulu's heart are extremely pressured, almost suffocating. Even Yuxian sect sovereign and Huang Daijun, the real person of Yehuang, flashed their eyes constantly, especially the aura outside the real body of Yehuang was very trembling, and the mood fluctuated obviously. Feng Wukang didn't tell the three men about Wei Suo's transmission to him, and the three didn't seem to see the truth of this young man in Xingyi. Why saw? The domineering and real people wiped out the heavenly sword sect on the same day. The two gods were shocking. What kind of power, in the hearts of the vast majority of Master Tianqian Lu, even more than the vast majority of the divine profound power currently present, this is a real power. Into the hearts of the people, if Wei Suo really joined Yuhangdalulu, many Tianqiandalulu monks over there, I am afraid that their confidence will collapse directly, and there will be no war intentions. I'm going to fight you. A Chen old man with a dark complexion and full mouth and teeth uttered aloud, stepped forward to confront the young man in Xingyi. Good, the young people in Xingyi seem to be as domineering as Weizhuo at that time. There is no nonsense at all. Reach out a little, and a dazzling white in front of him emerges. It exudes a white divine light. It is a white guqin with amazing aura. The whole body is crystal clear, and the strings are like sheep fat white jade, but the end of the tail is naturally flowing. Scorched, forming a circle of black lines. Half fairy. Most of the monks present were not ordinary people, and many of them had unique aura skills. One piece of this white guqin was a big shock. This white guqin exudes a scent of ancient antiquity. It is an ancient antiquity, and the breath is faintly connected with the heavens and the earth. Laugh. The young man in Xingyi didn't stay at all. He directly dialed the white guqin. Ding, the sound of the piano sounded, and there seemed to be a wonderful sound resounding in the world. Puff. Right in front of him, the old man whose face was dark and his teeth were all gleamed was just blooming. He suddenly flew backwards, and a mouthful of blood spewed out, staining the sky. Wei Suo's eyes were suddenly awe-inspiring. This white guqin turned out to be a shocking treasure. Like his Mahayana, the power was directly added to his body, and he didn't even have time to block it. This is a real half-celestial order treasure, but this person's cultivation should be at most Jindan's fourfold, and he has not fully exerted the power of this treasure. Ling Longtian's voice passed into Weizhuo's ears. She has also been fully aware of the true details of this young man in Xingyi. Senior Zhuang, several monks were frightened, quickly catching the old man who fell backward, one after another to rescue. Isn't that the man? Many of the monks of Tianqiandalulu shuddered because of the cold. This old man with dark complexion and full mouth and teeth has fallen off is the elder of Xuanhuan. One of them is also Jindan Wuzhong's later cultivation. Even under one face, he was directly beaten by the other party. I will meet you here. At this moment, suddenly a white-haired old man in a big red coat stepped into the sky from the valley. There was no nonsense at all, and he directly reached out for a sunset-like iridescence. Afterwards, a long rifle was formed in the air, making a huge explosion and hitting the young man in Xingyi directly. Ding, the sound of the piano sounded again, and a powerful power directly fell on the white-haired old man. Boo, but at the same time, a purple aura bloomed on the white-haired Weiwu old man, still attacking without stopping. A shot shattered a cyan glow from the young man's body in Xingyi. This is a scene that inspires all Tianqiandalu and Lu. The old man with white hair and Weiwu obviously has something to resist the existence of the sound class. With a spear, he seems to be able to pierce the Xingyi young man in the air immediately. But at this time, another cyan ray of light burst out almost at the same time as the previous cyan ray of light was pierced, and the spear in the hands of the old man with white hair and majesty broke down into pieces of streamer. Puff. The old man with white hair and majestic Wu couldn't avoid it. When he was swept away by the blue glow of Yu Wei, the shoulders on the left were completely turned into blood mud, and the inner organs were all injured by shock. All the monks on Tianqiandalulu's side changed color, and the two cyan radiances were all Jindangxia radiances like fake ones. Those are two golden pill breaths, that is to say, there are two golden pills in this Xingyi young man's body. Is that the man? He died without wood, flesh and wood, but just stepped back to the first order. Many monks were staring at each other. Even if this young man in Xingyi did not admit that he was Wei Suo, he also took advantage of Wei Suo's potential. In addition, he lost two powerful monks in a row, and showed the prestige of the double Jindan. It was said that it was really terrifying to the monk Lucian who was present. No one dared to speak out at all. Master Li, wait for you to help me pass this thing to Feng Wukang secretly. Wei Suo's eyes flashed and he took out a Nabeo, and secretly handed it to Li Ruohe. Fang Cai, a young man in Xingyi, has let him know who this person is. You still show your true face, pretend to be miserable in the end. After a few steps away from Li Ruohe, Wei Suo suddenly made a noise and swept the sky. Everyone's eyes, all gathered in Wei Suo's body, attracted everyone's attention. Is there any more to die? The young man in Xingyi sneered disdainfully, glancing at Wei Suo who was walking slowly. Wei Suo's appearance is very ordinary now, with a short and stout body and no aura. Wei Suo didn't have any nonsense at all, and suddenly there was an extremely cold and mysterious breath, and the body of the young man in Xingyi suddenly stiffened. He was so bright that he couldn't move at all. Puff. A pale yellow palm directly pressed against the young man in Xingyi and captured the young man in Xingyi together with the white Gukan in front of him. Mentioned Weizhuo. What? All the monks are completely solidified? Many monks opened their mouths and opened their mouths. They could not speak at all and could not make any sound. Wei Suo's debut was too shocking, too powerful. This young man in Xingyi has only calmed down the audience, but in front of Wei Suo, he couldn't even send out the surgery, and Beatu couldn't inspire it. Under one face, he was directly unable to fight back. Live catch. Although the light patterns looming out of Wei Suo's body made the surrounding air form many ice scales, the temperature of the whole valley dropped sharply, just like entering the winter in an instant. But at this moment, almost all of the blood of Tianxianda Xiulu has involuntarily boiled again. Shocked, I'm afraid the next real shock. At the moment, only Li Ruohe and Feng Kangguo took a deep breath, and such thoughts appeared in his heart. They all know that since Weizhuo chooses to appear at this moment, it's certainly impossible to avoid violent exposure of Lusun in front of so many amazing powers, but Weizhuo did not. It is used to do not know what side, it is totally a metaphysical power of repairing the ice melting system. Obviously even Huang Daijun didn't see it at the moment, obviously it was also deeply shocked, and shocked himself that there was still such a god-profound power that repaired the ice melting system. Coupled with the other party's look at the moment, no one found Wei Suo's true identity at all. Since that is the case, then Wei Suo's real debut must be the real shock. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1025. Unable to live forever, the whole audience was held, and many monks thought that Wei Suo's young man in Xingyi was caught in the hand by Wei Suo with the partial sword technique of Tianjianzong, and he was extremely frightened. His figure suddenly twisted. First, many auras were shaking, and immediately split, and the whole person's face immediately became completely different. Dong Miao Zhen. Several monks were surprised, Li Ruohe was also stunned. This monk has completely turned into a middle-aged man with no need for white face, 40 or more faces, with a fearful expression on his face. Where is Wei Suo? It is clearly the master of Dongjao Resort Dong Miao Zhen. But Wei Suo was not surprised at all. From the beginning, The familiar Jindan breath and Shuang Jindan had made him guess the true identity of this person. Dong Miaozhen possesses Jindan's fourfold cultivation practices at the moment, but he is not surprised. Even if Dong Miaozhen blew a golden pill before, he still did not repair it. With the strength of these Yuhang continental sects, he wanted Dong Miaozhen to pretend to be a shocker. With so many Tianqian mainland monks present, it is not difficult to improve some of his cultivation practices. Especially when Dong Miaozhen is willing to sell his life for these sects. Dong Miaozhen, who has 5 roots and 5 secrets, naturally has a great future. Compared with the elite disciples, he has more potential and is worth investing in training. Poof, didn't wait for anyone to react. The faint yellow palms inspired by Wei Suo were directly pinched, and Dong Miaozhen's flesh was crushed directly, turned into a blood mist, directly killed, and the remaining treasure and white guqin, all photographed by Wei Suo. Clouds swayed in the void, scarlet blood mist and broken bones were sprinkled. Wei Suo's expression was calm, but the calmer, this simple means of direct killing was more shocking. Good kill. There was silence, and suddenly, someone shouted like a dream. Good kill. This kind of scum is not only a dog, but also a domineering real person. Wei Suo, it should be killed. The whole valley was boiling in an instant, and there was even such a hidden mysterious power in his own side. All the monks of Tianqian continent were unable to express their excitement. Who are you? Pieces of colorful rays of light were driven by the crisp voice, just like Luying flying, and the queen's jade face was also covered with a surprised look. She looked at Wei Suo with a pair of phoenix eyes, and did not move away for a long time. A member of Tianqian continent is just a loose repair. Wei Suo frowned, and the ice realm that appeared in his body had a feeling of being pierced between the words of the witch goddess. It was obvious that the witch goddess was using some kind of supernatural scouting. The cultivation of this witch goddess should be almost the same as that of Wang Wei. Without using the words of Xian Tears, he might not be able to compete with the gorgeous queen of Wufu like a waterfall. It's said that Tianqian mainland's Taoist monastery world has fallen a bit, but I didn't expect that during the loose repairs, there were talented people. The witch goddess looked at Wei Suo, her expression was still quiet, completely like the queen meeting the courtier. Hand over the Sendai Guqin. The young man of Shenqian in Donglei's secret realm was unable to hold back and shouted in cold voices, "You as Shenqian are so despicable that they conceal their cultivation behavior and kill Jindan monk. You are not qualified to speak to me at all." Wei Suo glanced at this young Shenqian young man, and he was very disdainful. As Shenqian, he was beaten by a Jindan monk to act like that. If I were you, it would be early. You can already die. Fortunately, jump out and talk about it. You, the young people of Shenqian almost all had their noses crooked, and their bodies were trembling with anger, and they could not speak. Don't you know this Taoist? We have such a Taoist who we don't know exists on Tianqian continent. Come to help, Huang Daijun and Yushan sect master, Yahuang real person and so on. Yin. At this moment they didn't even know Wei Suo's true identity, but suddenly there was such a strong help, and they were very surprised. Hand over the Sendai Guqin. The witch goddess slowly took 2 steps ahead of her. In addition to Shenqian out of phase, she seemed to exude a unique fragrance. Its exquisite jade-like facial features and the rare king's breath are gorgeous and unparalleled, but at this moment, no one is caught in imagination. Between 2 steps of light movement, an invisible power even made many monks on the Tianqian continent uncontrollable and kneel without standing. Here is our Tianqian continent. Naturally, we must follow the rules of our Tianqian continent. For our monks of the Xianqian continent, the victor can naturally collect anything from the other party. Influence, glanced at Su Shenjun and Ye Xiancheng. I don't believe you ask these 2 running dogs, they are also monks from our Tianqian mainland, they should be very clear. What are you talking about? Su Shenjun's eyes narrowed suddenly, and countless starlights burst out of the knots on his body, and the energy inside roared, as if there were countless gods roaring in it. Why, am I not right? Wei Suo confronted each other and directly glanced at all the Tianqian continental monks in the valley. Dear friends, do you say that I have a half-truth? Predecessors are right, the monks of the Tianqian continent in the valley were boiling blood, and shouted out loudly. Wei Suo was like a rock in the torrent, which gave them all strong confidence invisible. Since you want to follow this so-called rule, wouldn't it be possible for me to take away all the things in Sendai Guken and you as long as I kill you? A huge gas machine directly enveloped Wei Suo. This is completely naked persecution, and the strong one is about to force Wei Suo to play. As long as you have the ability to kill me, you can do it naturally. Wei Suo glanced at the sovereign, but I am afraid that you are going to give me all the things on your body, or you can't keep anything, and I will be all flying into the air gray. In that case, then we will come to a fair showdown, and have the courage to come up with me so as not to injure others by mistake. The sovereign who wore a bone crown directly stepped up, and there seemed to be a long bone ladder under his feet, shining a strange brilliance. Let him board a very high altitude in a few steps. Dao Yu, Yushan sect master frowned, unable to bear his voice, his anxious expression overflowing in his expressions. From his perspective, Wei Suo's divine power did not seem to be as amazing as the sovereign, and the sovereign dared to jump out for the first challenge. It is obvious that there is nothing in his body that is not afraid of Sendai Guken. The Sendai Guken that Wei Suo snatched in his hand did not suppress him at all. But he was just speaking out, and Feng Wukang suddenly heard it in his ears. Master, don't worry. Sect Master Yushan was a little stunned, looking back at Feng Wukang right behind him. At this moment, Wei Suo has turned into a streamer, and has also shot towards the upper sky. Buzz. The void suddenly shook, and a white divine light suddenly appeared on the head of the sect master of the nether earth. The entire heaven and earth seemed to become white directly. There were countless vitalities drawn from all parts of the heaven and earth, and they continued to manifest and weave a powerful mighty. No one was too late to stop, there was no nonsense at all, the war broke out directly, and the sect master of the nether earth overlooking Wei Suo from the sky below, directly made trouble. The huge mountain of bones turned out of thin air, and the scenery within 1,000 miles of the extremely high altitude changed instantly. All the monks saw that Wei Suo was suddenly set in a huge white bone wilderness, and seemed to be completely lost. There is no judgment about the location and the position of the sovereign. There was a grin on the face of the sect master of the nether territory, the glory and extinction in front of him. There were strips of white divine patterns constantly appearing, weaving some kind of avenue, and a shocking shock was about to be issued. But at this moment, Wei Suo's head even burst out with a white divine light. At the same time, a piece of boneless wilderness emerged, as if the two worlds overlapped. The sovereign of the underworld sect was also set in an extremely large white bone wasteland. How is this possible? Many monks of the Xingtu sect opened their eyes unbelievably. How is it possible? The of wasteland is a unique technique of our earth sect. How could he play? The body of the sect master of the nether earth is a trembling, and Wei Suo and he played the same secret of the sect of the nether earth at almost the same moment, which is unimaginable for his mental shock. Break me, Wei Suo shouted loudly, making a Mahayana sound, and struck forward. Wow, the dire white divine lines manifested in front of the sect master of the nether earth formed a sickle-shaped divine domain, which was like half a lake, sweeping out. The white bones of the two sides collapsed almost simultaneously. The consciousness of the two sides swept through the air and intertwined, locking each other's aura. Wei Suo directly sacrificed the book of life and death, a bright light word with the powerful judgment of life and death. His mind was very calm, and this duel was completely under his control from the beginning. The same wasteland of the underworld god caused great fluctuations in the state of mind of the sovereign of the underworld, and the speed of application was greatly affected instantly, giving him a chance at once. And as long as he is given an opportunity, even in this case, even the sect master of the underworld hides what real fairy is hidden in his body. Even if there is no great magical power, there is no time to display it, only one end, it is death. In the eyes of the sect master of the underworld, a shocked look flashed again. A half-size lake-like sickle-shaped domain he once again turned out couldn't stop the bright ancient characters played by the other party and collapsed. Boom! Faster than him, Wei Suo's body breathed through the sky, and two majestic gods and mysterious breaths broke through all the clouds in the sky. Two huge beams of light shone on Wei Suo's body, Wei Suo's entire body, all seemed to be glowing. Blood and true elements are bursting to the extreme. Cabernet Sauvignon and silver divine light are more splendid than the evening glow in the sky. A huge white mountain and a grey remnant moon emerged at the same time, and at the same time suppressed the sect master of the underworld. Zheng. The white bone throne and 8 heads condensed by the divine light of the sect master of the underworld, and the demon gods of all 24 arms shattered. Immediately, the crown of white bones on the top of the head and the white clothes on the body also wailed at the same time. The white bone crown of the sovereign and the clothing on his body are obviously not ordinary products. The wailing is like the sound of the iron, and it is clearly transmitted in the huge roar of vitality, but it is crushed by two earth-shaking powers. His white bone crown and his clothes immediately shattered. You are. Everyone saw that after Wei Suo issued this blow, he did not take any further action, exuding a completely different power of hegemony, and the sect master of the underworld with a face of unwillingness and unbelief. The sound of Ka shattered, and then it turned into fly ash, leaving only a few pieces of white bone crowns and fragments of bodice, flying in the air. Xuanhuan, Li Ziqianyu, you are Wei Suo, you didn't die. Time seemed to freeze, and Su Xianjun, the sect master of the real martial arts, suddenly shouted like a ghost, unconsciously stepping back 2 steps in the air. Yes, you finally recognized that I was here, and I was Weio of the Lingyu city. Weizhuo turned his face and looked around everyone at Yuhan mainland. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1026. Wei Suo, the domineering real person, is really him. He actually did not die, standing on the side of our Tianqian continent. In the sunset, Wei Suo's voice threw to the ground, and the sunset fell on him, which gave him a layer of sacred glow, making him ordinary. His way of playing was really shocking. First, he seized Dong Miaozhen, so that Dong Miaozhen didn't even have any chance to cast any spells and magic weapons. Then he directly spiked a Shenqian triple in Yuhan mainland, and he has realized the power of one side of the realm. Especially when Wei Suo was held in the audience by the other party, he appeared in this powerful and shocking way. All the monks on the Tianqian continent were filled with an indescribable passion and extreme emotion. Wei Suo. The domineering real person Weizhuo is the real Weizhuo. I don't know who was the first to roar loudly. Immediately, the roar in the whole valley shook the earth. Many monks on the Tianqian continent gave a roar of excitement. The boiling qi and blood of Wei Suo and the red glow and silver divine light of the real element slowly disappeared, but the two huge divine mysterious breaths still oscillated in the sky, and Wei Suo's power at this time in contrast, Dong Miaozhen, who had previously disguised as him, was like an ant, and could not be compared with it. Wei Daiyu, you are hiding too deeply. These styles really made me wait for the conquest. Sect Master Yushin, Huang Daijun and others all greeted him, and now Sect Master Yushin already knew Wei Fang Liufeng well. It's just that Wei Suo's cultivation behavior and magical power still shocked all of them, and they didn't even think that Wei Suo would have such amazing strength, and instantaneous spike killing has already realized the power of a god's domain. Wei Daiyu. Yu Huang was really excited, his voice trembling so speechless. This is the strong man who really wiped out the Tianjian sect, our monks of the Tianqian continent. Many monks of the Tianqian continent, especially many younger generation monks of Xuanhuan and Yutianzone, are almost worshipping, feeling the surging Weisuo stood in the sky, deterring everyone in the other side, making these young people feel that he is like a giant pillar, propping up the sky of the entire Tianqian continent. You are Weisuo? Isn't your flesh only disguised? The witch goddess stared at Weisuo with a pair of phoenix eyes, seeming to revisit this person, and her pair of phoenix eyes gleamed with a different brilliance. The sky far behind is full of glory and extinction, it seems that her countless thoughts are flashing. Who said that fleshwood must die? Fleshwood is just a trivial matter for me to scare some people. Weisuo looked at Su Shenjun and Yexian Cheng, and said. Ling Longtian couldn't help but roll his eyes. When Weisuo was woody, he was about to die or alive, and he almost hung up, but this guy now seems to be very relaxed, a piece of cake, really. It's too pretending, but the most important thing is that Weisuo is now talking casually, and he still doesn't change his face and his heart does not jump, a very calm, master-like appearance, which makes him accustomed to Weizhuo's insignificant look, knowing Weizhuo Laodi's Linglong heaven is really unbearable. Since there is a person like you can sit down and talk to us, why should you kill the killer and make a big hatred? The witch goddess still exuded the queen's breath, and the world looked at Weisuo quietly and said. You think you can sit down and talk directly, but I don't think there is anything to talk about at all. Weisuo glanced at the witch goddess. This was originally the territory of our Tianqian continent. Since ancient times, any other continent's monastery has invaded. It's the enemy, you don't have to be polite. There is nothing to talk about at all. Weisuo's words made all the monks on the Tianqian continent thoroughly boiled again. The Tianqian continent was full of momentum. In the valley, like a huge oven rises. There was a trace of anger in the eyes of the witch goddess. With her identity and cultivation behavior, no one dared to speak to her like this, but this anger quickly disappeared. Since you appear here, department, the companion who wiped out Tianjian zone with you must be here too. What do you want to say? Just say it in one breath. You are not my companion, I don't have the patience to talk to you and love. Weisuo deliberately glanced at the deep snow ditch on the chest of the witch goddess and said he wanted to irritate the queen deliberately. As a small repairer of Lingyu city, he did not know how many people had rubbed his mouth since he was small, and he didn't know how many people negotiated for a half-stone. Let him be a negotiation expert. The brand is not an exaggeration. He knows very well that when any opponent is irritated, he is prone to make mistakes and easily reveals his details. Presumptuous. Weisuo was unscrupulous, staring at her twin peaks suddenly angered the witch goddess, the whole sky was a shock. For the witch goddess, Weisuo's actions are completely like a courtier blaspheming the real queen, making her state of mind unable to maintain peace at all. Even if you add your companion, you are no more than 5 gods. R is still one more than you. If you want us to leave, it is impossible. If you don't have the sincerity to sit down and talk to us at all, then I'd rather kill until the blood flows to the river today. The witch goddess looked at Weisuo coldly. Is it useful only if there are a large number of people? Such a god, my friend Feng Wukang, can be killed. As for them, can you ask them to dare to fight against my enemy alone? Weisuo glanced at the secret of Donglei. Young Sangziu, with a cold look at Su Shenjun and Yexian Cheng, said strongly. What did you say? The young Xiandaneng's face in Donglei's secret realm was all blue, but the witch goddess stretched out her hand, preventing all of them from making trouble, and looking at Weisuo said indifferently, if you think this is not enough, then I can recruit another Shenqian mighty at the same level as me. I think you are in Tianqian continent now. It is not possible to find another Shenqian triple power, but I can tell you that I have agreed the marriage proposal of Prince Xuanhuan in Xuanhuan Palace would have been married a few months later, and became a companion. As long as I want, I can find Prince Xuanhuan very quickly. My future husband, he is also a god. Fourfold power. The marriage between Xuanhuan Palace and Donglei secret realm, As soon as this sentence was spoken, the sect master Yushan sect and Huang Daijun all changed their looks. At present, Zhongtianzili sect and Tourmaline sect, Nether Earth sect and Donglei Secret Realm have joined forces, plus Xuanhuan Palace and Donglei Secret Realm are married, then the entire level of the Yuzhong continent is almost an iron plate. Definitely a terrifying force. Why, if you can't manage yourself, you will have to bring your future husband out to scare. Wei Suo's eyes flashed slightly, but his face remained still, deliberately angering the witch goddess. It seems that your feelings are not very good, otherwise you won't first pull down your future husband. And let's not talk about your son Wanhuang who hasn't come yet. Even if it's coming, what about the one extra power of Shenxian? Wei Suo's voice suddenly increased, and a strong arrogance came from him. Shouted from the body, shaking the world, to fight. I don't know how many of you can return to Yuhang continent. Well, you're arrogant. The witch goddess like the queen was so angry that her face was white, and the glow of Xiaoguang on her body skyrocketed wildly, forming an emperor's shadow of hundreds of feet of phoenix crown Xiaohe outside her body, which shocked her. The jade finger came out, and the point was pointed to Wei Suo. Well, I will do what you say. If you don't carry the son of Wanhuang out, we will solve Wei Suo by yourself. Would you dare to fight me alone? As long as you can win we will not fight for this place with you. Witch goddess, you are also a predecessor, so you are not afraid to lose your identity. If you want to fight, you should also find me right. Huang Daijun immediately said. Chaotic green light, constantly in his body Zhou evolved, but the breath on his body was more and more attributed to the ordinary. Aren't you claiming to be a domineering real person? Do you dare to accept my appointment? The witch goddess ignored Huang Daijun, a pair of phoenixes staring at Wei Suo, screaming loudly. This woman has arrived at Shenxian Sizhong. Shenwei is no longer comparable to Shenxian Sanzong's power, and she can't promise her to fight. Many of the monks of Tianxian continent felt tight, and many people couldn't help but want to pass on the sound to Wei Suo, so that he would not be too impulsive, and promised to fight with the witch goddess. Although you have the skill to stay in the face, the physical function and blood, and the true Yuan are the same as the young girl, but the actual age has been repaired for at least 100 years. Wei Suo's eyes were not polite in this queen's Yu face. Suigu even thin waists and other parts, a predecessor like you, if you meet me, don't you lose your identity. You. The witch goddess took a deep breath, and was completely embarrassed and angry. Since this is the case, then we will fight directly. I don't agree, but there are some conditions. If you lose, leave me with a sacred pattern on the road, and if you lose, the rest of you can leave, but the two of you can't. You can't intervene in these two people. Wei Suo reached out a little and Su Shenjun and Ye Xiancheng said. Boy, you. Ye Xiancheng just glanced, his face gloomy, he didn't say much, but Su Shenjun was Kakia Shenjian, so angry that his face was twisted. Dare you dare to fight me? The witch goddess was stunned, but she did not expect Wei Suo to even say yes to her appointment. Good. Wei Suo made a quiet voice, and the whole valley fell into a sudden silence. Okay, I agree to your terms. The witch goddess Phoenix eyes shot another strange glow again, looked at Wei Suo again, nodded, and reached out to take out a piece of white spar. Quickly melted in front of her and thrown into the white spar. This is a divine pattern I have learned. How to transform this mysterious mystery, I have written down. After reaching out and pointing this white spar directly in front of Wei Suo, the witch goddess walked directly upwards. As long as you can live in this battle, you can take away. Not in a hurry. Wei Suo suddenly smiled slightly, without first capturing the white spar that flew in front of him, glanced at Feng Wukang and the young Xian De Neng from the mainland of Yuhang. Your Donglei secret realm, isn't this mystery still having an appointment with my friend Feng Wukang? Let them solve their problems first, and save you from losing. This person dare not stay at all. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1027. As long as he dares to fight, I don't mind killing this person first. The young Xiandan in Donglei's secret realm was so angry that his face was crooked. Kikiao produces smoke. Wei Suo killed the sect master of the underworld in one blow. Although he had some tricks, he was definitely not enemies. He was too brave to fight Weizhu, but he was not afraid of Feng Wuokang at all. Previously, Feng Wuokang took the lead, and he was very embarrassed. As a result, he was now mentioned by everyone. Anyway, he is also a real divine profound power. Any divine profound power is a monk. The supreme existence in the world, what kind of identity and majesty, the result makes everyone look down on him now, which makes him almost hysterical. Let's talk nonsense. I will kill you for Brother Wei's sacrifice to the world. Feng Wuokang is still the same as before. He threw a cold sentence and walked toward the sky. You are destined to die very hard in this battle. The queen of the witch goddess did not stop, just looked at Feng Wuokang and Wei Suo indifferently, and said so. I just hope you won't be ashamed and angry at that time. Wei Suo smiled without saying much. Kill. The young Xiandanenge in Donglei's secret realm screamed loudly, and the cyan rainbow under his feet spread like innumerable blue swords in the void, and before him a piece of cyan Xianxinwei turned into a green giant mountain. Boom! There was a shock in the void, and a round grey dying moon rippling out of death appeared in front of Feng Wuokang. Both of them have no nonsense, and the battle of life and death explodes instantly. All the monks on Tianxianda 6 are a little stunned. Everyone thinks that Wei Suo will not let Feng Wu die in vain, but at this moment everyone doesn't know what Wei Suo holds. Boom! The green giant mountain shattered the grey moon. Yu Wei stopped, hitting Feng Wuokang in front of him. When a piece of ice-purple brilliance suddenly bloomed in front of Feng Wuokang's figure disappeared in a net bottle with flowing ice-purple divine light, and a net bottle with unspeakable rhythm blocked Shen Xianyue. Indestructible bottle. It turns out that Wei Suo has secretly given this thing to Feng Wuokang. Many Tianxianda 6 monks suddenly had a look of surprise in their eyes, and now almost everyone has heard the rumors, thinking that Wei Suo's immortal bottle is also a real fairy. Humph! But the young Xianda Neng of Yuhang Big 6 actually sneered. Almost as soon as the Feng Wuokang festival gave out the indestructible bottle, a colorful glow flashed in front of him. This is a 5-color small jade mountain that is only 1 foot long and has 5 hills. There is an ancient rhyme, and there is a strong breath recovering instantly. When a piece of 5-colored ray of light swept into the indestructible net bottle like a long tail of a comet, and the indestructible net bottle was dented, so that the carapace of the ancient giant claws emerged, and it was radiant. This is also close to the power of the fairy treasure. Most of the monks on the side of Tianxianda 6 were horrified. This 5-color little jade mountain was just like another Shenxian Meng. Powerful close to fairy treasure. Zheng. A silver light flew out of the indestructible net bottle, and the sound of the iron was clear. This is a silver spear covered with lotus pattern, scattered with silver glory. Humph! Yuhangda Six's young Xianda Neng had a more sneer in his eyes, pushing his body's power to the extreme, and kept pressing towards the indestructible net bottle. For a time, green mountains and round crippling moons, patches of 5-color glow and patches of silver divine light, ice-purple divine lights collided in the air, and a large patch of sky seemed to be annihilated. Countless gorgeous, the color of it instantly melted and disappeared instantly, as if it was swallowed. Dang! 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 The unbroken net bottle was beaten up and down, and the silver spear covered with silver lotus pattern was also kept wailing. The vast majority of monks' hearts on Tianxianda 6 are in a state of austerity. The young Xiandanenge on Yuhangda 6 obviously has an absolute advantage, and Feng Wuokang is obviously in danger. Even many senior figures with extremely rich fighting experience infer that if it is not that the will of Feng Wuokang is extremely tenacious, otherwise the pain caused by this kind of shock alone will be enough to affect his giving. This iron spear is also an antiquities. It has at least a half celestial order. The carcass is also very extraordinary. Actually, this kind of impact is not bad. You secretly gave him these treasures, thinking that you can eat my disciple? Feng Guangxia's witch goddess looked at Wei Suo indifferently, with a hint of sarcasm in her eyes. Isn't there my Donglei secret realm? Jin Dan and Shen Xian, Xiaowei and divine consciousness have an insurmountable gap in themselves, and you are destined to fall here today. Zheng. Feng Wukang seemed to have been injured, she appeared to a halt, and even the Lotus God Iron Lance was almost shocked. But Wei Suo actually revealed some instincts, just like when he made a proud sale during the small repair of Lingyu City, he showed a smug smile and showed a few teeth. You are right, you are now to say this is to make me tremble, break my calm heart, and let me and you fight against the enemy even more without any full combat power. But I am afraid you will be disappointed. I can tell you that your disciple has what I have already seen through, and your disciple is destined to die in the hands of Feng Wukang. If it wasn't enough time, Feng Wukang didn't have time to comprehend some techniques, otherwise I wouldn't have to spend so many hands on him if he passed a few techniques. Your disciple is already dead, said. Wei Suo, it seemed a bit annoyed, waved his hand, and said so again. The witch goddess sagged slightly, and the look in her eyes fluctuated obviously. What happened? Suddenly, most of the monks sucked in air, and the young Yuxuan, the dominant young master of the sixth god, was extremely shocked. Buzz. The round of imperfect moons played by Feng Wukang suddenly intertwined the unique vitality rules and played the terrifying power. The green turquoise giant mountain that Yuhangda 6's young Xiandong could hit was directly crushed. What? The young man named Yuhang Big 6 has already played his strongest fighting power. At this moment, there is no time to make any extra moves, and the huge Yu Wei instantly pressed on him. Puff. As if one side of the dark world was over, most of the body of this young man of Yuhang 6 was directly transformed into fly ash, leaving only 2 feet, the solitary residual air, falling down. How is this possible? Many Yuhang Big 6 monks were completely horrified, and many older figures even jumped up. A divine profound power was actually bombarded by a Jindan monk, and was still bombarded by the power of magic. Li Xianyuyu has been lost for too long. It seems that it wasn't until my rabbit brothers that it reappeared. No one really knows the true mystery of Ziyiyu, but now you should know why it can be ranked as the strongest attack of the ancient times. Was it cut? Wei Suo at the moment glanced at the monk Yuhangda 6, and said very often. Boom. Another piece of uproar, the indestructible net bottle was put away, and Feng Wukang, who appeared at the moment, was wearing a silver white iron lotus suit, and the silver was gleaming, and there was no damage. Wei Suo even gave him such a body armor. No wonder the violent shock did not cause him serious damage at all. Frustrated. On the side of Yuhangda 6, all the monks looked at Feng Wukang, who put away the indestructible bottle, and Wei Suo, who stood in the air, and he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of powerlessness. The 7 gods of their side were able to gather together, and their strength was really amazing, but since Wei Suo appeared, their side was instead feeling that they could not see hope and everything was under the control of this person. Chiao. In the extremely high sky suddenly there was a lightning flash, and there was a slashing sound of iron beheaded with a killing atmosphere. I did look down upon you, but this strengthened my mind to wipe you out. The witch goddess moved and walked towards Weizhuo. Her steps are not big, her jade feet move lightly, but every step falls, there are countless rays of light in the distant sky, and an aura of the world is surging. Boom. Boom. Boom, a powerful invisible field was driven by her footsteps. Wei Suo's heart violently oscillated, and the inner body of the body's lines, even one by one burst. Wipe your head. Wei Suo's words were very rough, but his face was extremely dignified, and he directly made a Mahayana voice to the witch goddess, and at the same time used a virtual pace of the whole and stepped forward. The witch goddess is the most terrifying opponent he faces alone. It seems that she has more than one domain power. She is also an unspeakable domain in her footsteps. If it is not Wei Suo's physical body and internal body tattoos, I am afraid that Wei Suo's heart, the pulse, will be smashed in an instant, and it will be killed in seconds. It's good that you can block my blow. A ray of glow flashed outside the witch goddess, and Wei Suo's Mahayana didn't break her body. A horror gas machine appeared between heaven and earth. Numerous fine lines of gleaming colorful glow burst out from her body, instantly evolving into a world where the petals of the radiant light scattered everywhere. The immense power set Wei Suo's body directly in the air. Click. Wei Suo's body was covered with Cabernet Sauvignon and silver divine light. Cracks appeared on his body skin, several cracks appeared on his head, and a drop of blood appeared in his eyebrows and was crushed instantly. Ding! At this moment, a gleam of brilliant light manifested in front of Wei Suo, the endless immortal turbulence, Wei Suo forced to sacrifice fairy tears.